Hello, welcome back to my channel. Happy to have you back. Thank you for joining me. Um, Tonight, I thought I'd do something a little different. I would like to share with you as much of a book as I can share for copyright reasons. This is a book that I previously did an unboxing and a review on, Falling Apart Beautifully by Tilda Carrow. That's its first incarnation. Um, I think then this was the cover. And now there's another cover. I'll put the link to Amazon below when I figure that out. I've put a review on Amazon. Mine's on the Amazon.com site, and there's also some reviews on Amazon.co.uk. But I want to share this with you because I love this book. This book took me on an emotional journey, and I came safely out the other side. And one of the things I love about it is you ease in gently to getting to know the critical characters. They're all critical. Um, but then, and you don't know when it happens, but then at some point you're invested. I was invested, and I had to know what happened, and I was not looking forward to the book ending, but the ending is brilliant. Brilliant. This book is brilliant. I love it. Highly recommend. Falling Apart Beautifully by Tilda Carrow. I think it's blue. The cover's blue now on Amazon. So, without further ado, I hope the setup here is all right with the sound and everything. I'm trying a new, got a ring light thing here. So just trying to be able to film at night, really. Okay, so here we go. Falling Apart Beautifully. Chapter 1. The only thing I know about Ivy Edwards is that she died 2 days ago at the Royal Victoria General Hospital. Ironically, just 3 floors below the very ward where she was born 79 years ago. If life is a circle, then for Ivy it began and ended on the far side of town in the drafty, red brick Victorian buildings of the Royal General. Everything else that happened to her between those two momentous occasions, I'm about to discover for myself. I open the door to her flat with a key from the Housing Association manager and pause, hit by the robust scent of lavender. There are other less identifiable smells, stale cooking fat perhaps, the kind that clings to your curtains and then leaches back into your house, making everything, including the air, seem stale. There's also a hint of damp, but it's an undertone if anything, mostly obliterated by the lavender. I pull out a mask. I pull a mask out of my pocket and attach it securely over my nose and mouth. There's no point taking any chances. I push the front door closed and move slowly down the hallway. The green and brown carpet is partially hidden beneath stacks of old telephone directories, which are piled high against one wall, pages facing outwards, like a flutter of off-white birds. Strangely, Ivy also had a collection of bowler hats, brushed and shiny. Some sit on top of the telephone directories, others hang on their own hooks, as if a convention of bankers visited her flat sometime in the 1960s and left without their headwear. The coat stand is much more conventional, with one raincoat in faded lavender, 2 knitted scarves, and a warm-looking winter coat. But normal coat notwithstanding, Ivy Edwards is already an enigma. The last remnants of the life she lived, and everything that proved her existence, is contained within this flat, at number 9 Starcross Crescent. It's my job to sort through all of it and dispose of Ivy's possessions, deciding what needs to be donated to charity, thrown out, or sold. I don't like the term house clearance, although technically that's exactly what I'm here to do. Every last toothpick, hairbrush, and tin of beans has to go. But I prefer to look at it differently. I'm more like a niece or a trusted friend who has come over to help you have a good sort through and a clear out. I'm here to recycle and repurpose, not for clearance. Ivy had no family left to carry out that kindness for her, someone who could take their time, reminiscing over photos and letters, living her life over again through their memories. On occasions like this, I'm grateful that the manager uses us and not one of the cheaper companies, the fishing dredges of the clearance world, who scoop up everything in their nets, skimming off only the most valuable items to sell. Everything else gets dumped like a stinking pile of fish heads and gizzards. People like Ivy and their belongings deserve more respect than that. My phone pings with a message before I can let myself through one of the doors at the end of the hall. It's from my almost sister-in-law, Poppy. "Juliet, fancy meeting me for a drink tonight at the old Toad and Fiddle. I'll throw in a packet of I'll throw in a packet of cheese and onion crisps, if you're lucky." I hesitate before replying, wondering how to play this. "Sorry, I can't. I'm meeting Vanessa." "Again? Didn't you see her last week for some stupid basket weaving class?" "It wasn't basket weaving, it was beginner's macrame, and it was excellent. You should try it. It helps calm the mind." "Never going to happen. Macrame is for grannies and internet weirdos, so that's a definite no for tonight." I pause, feeling guilty. "Sorry, maybe Friday instead?" "I'll think about it, but I'm feeling very wounded by your constant rejection of my friendship." "I'll pay." "Friday sounds perfect. Looking forward to it already." "You're such a fake." "I'm not a fake, I'm just easily bought. Kiss, 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 kiss." I set a reminder on my phone for Friday evening. I hate saying no to Poppy, but sometimes she's so pushy she leaves me with no other choice. That's why I'm grateful for my laid-back friend, Vanessa. Vanessa isn't on social media. She's old-fashioned that way. She's the same age as me, 45, although so far she has fared much better in the aging lottery. The collagen in her jowls is still hanging on by a thread, whereas mine has recently developed a looseness that suggests a big silent defeat in the fight against gravity. Anyone who sees us together can't help but notice the wide gulf in our physical natures. Vanessa is statuesque, of Amazonian splendour, whereas I am firmly rooted in the earthly realms of ordinary, with dullish brown hair and slightly muddy green eyes. She lives in Leeds, half an hour in the opposite direction to everyone else I know. She likes football, which all my other friends detest, so none of them have expressed any desire to meet her. She loves 1990s pop bands, and she's also completely fictitious. I invented her one desperate Friday afternoon when I could think of no other way of getting myself out of a weekend of engagement celebrations with another friend. The funny thing is, I kind of like Vanessa. I even caught myself thinking about what to buy for her birthday once. She's not the only friend I've invented either. There's also Angelique, a stylish French seamstress. I'm more than a little jealous of Angelique and the life she lives in a beautiful old apartment building close to the Eiffel Tower in the upmarket 7th, I don't know how to say this properly, arrondissement area of Paris. She conveniently asks me over to stay whenever I need an excuse that spans anywhere from a weekend to a fortnight. And then there's Natalia, who often needs me to support her through yet another tumultuous episode in her love life. But she's a bit of a drain emotionally, if I'm being honest. I may have to cut her loose. Every time she breaks up with Damien, her idiot boyfriend, she swears blind she's never talking to him again. But then about a week later, she inevitably takes him back, avoiding my calls for ages, and the whole sorry cycle starts all over again. I adjust my face mask, wondering if everyone else, over the age of 10, has a whole gang of imaginary friends they use to keep their real friends at a safe distance. But I also know I'm not about to abandon Vanessa, Angelique, and Natalia anytime soon. The alternative is still too difficult. I'm not ready to engage in what most people consider to be normal levels of real human contact. I completely stuffed that up. I'm not ready to engage in what most people consider to be normal levels of real human contact yet. I picked the left-hand door at the end of the entrance hall and let myself into Ivy Edwards' sitting room. It's a decent size, big enough for a sofa, 2 armchairs, and 2 tall cabinets that show telltale signs of bursting at the seams. An open archway leads to a compact kitchen at the back of the property, with just enough room for a small table and 2 chairs. I always start in the sitting room when I'm on a house clearance job. The bedrooms are too personal and prone to delivering a variety of unwanted surprises. Surgical supports, bottled gallstones, ill-advised photos of an extremely personal nature. The kitchen is too functional to get any real sense of who I'm dealing with. Preferences in pickle variety won't tell you much about a person other than the state of their digestion. But the sitting room is the perfect blend of the public and the private, and it's the ideal room to get to know someone. Everything that's on display for everyone to see, the scatter cushions and cosy blanket throws, the blue and white salt and pepper shakers bought on holiday in Portugal, that's only part of the story. It's the cupboards and the drawers that fill in the details. Drawers are where real life happens. But I always do a quick tour of the whole property before diving into any drawers. Experience has taught me that this is wise, just in case there are any fish that desperately need feeding, or any smells that desperately need ventilating. Sometimes food has been left out on a counter, and it has to be double bagged and disposed of before ripe skins burst, releasing mouldy spores into the air, like a puffball mushroom ready to explode. Kitchens can be hazardous. I double mask for those. Excuse me for a moment, gotta wet my whistle. I start my tour in Ivy's kitchen, which is reminiscent of the 1970s, with shiny olive green cupboard fronts, a tiny melamine table, and 2 matching chairs in blue. The whole kitchen has clearly been scrubbed on a regular basis. There are none of the sticky countertops or little crescents of ancient crumbs that I usually find around the base of ovens and bread bins. Ivy was a house-proud woman. I take a quick peek inside the cupboards, but there's not much that can be salvaged, and most of it will be headed to the tip. When I take a closer look at the sitting room, it's more interesting than I first realised. 2 tall cabinets placed either side of a gas fire have obviously been handmade from beautiful warm honeyed oak. Mice and wildflowers, skillfully carved into every door panel, add a whimsical woodland feel. Every handle has a mouse's tail wrapped around it, and they're so realistic I have to prod one with the end of my pen just to double check. Long trails of ivy have been carved through the hinges and along the sides of the first cabinet, winding themselves into the shape of a heart close to the base. It's a private message, almost hidden from view. Someone made these cabinets for Ivy. They only exist because she did. These beautiful pieces of furniture are completely at odds with an ugly purple sofa and 2 matching armchairs, which must have been bought in the 1980s, judging by their faded velour coverings. They will end their days in a skip, to the relief of all humanity. On the inside, the first cabinet is split into open shelves at the top and drawers at the bottom, and every inch of space has been crammed full, as I suspected. The second cabinet, decorated with equally exquisite carvings of wrens, blackbirds, and painted lady butterflies, is also filled to capacity and beyond. I feel a familiar pull of anxiety as I close the door again. I already like Ivy. I want to find things in these cabinets that prove she had a life well lived. But it doesn't always go that way. Some people's cabinets, the people who die alone because they've alienated their families or have a long history of being emotionally or physically abusive, are nothing like Ivy's. I can sense the ugliness of their lives long before I start opening any doors. Stuff is never just stuff. The things you buy, the mementos you choose to keep, the way you store them, it speaks whole languages about who you are and the life you've lived. Cupboards are gateways to the soul. Poppy laughs at me whenever I tell her this. Then she accuses me of taking my job too seriously. But if I've been brought in to clean out a house, then I am the only witness left, the last person who will ever touch, see, or sense the evidence of a life lived. I am the only person left to admire and appreciate a lifetime of treasures gathered. Poppy would hire a skip and chuck everything in it without opening a single envelope, studying a single photograph, or piecing together any of the human puzzle. Maybe it's because I love solving the puzzle that I'm so well suited to my job. Poppy also regularly accuses me of spending more time with dead people than with the living, and she's not wrong. But for the time being at least, that's the way I want it. I moved quickly onto the bathroom, which is a bit utilitarian, with a simple white suite. There are 3 floor-to-ceiling cupboards at one end of the room, and a cursory rummage inside reveals that Ivy never threw a single old duvet cover away if she could help it. There's a solitary shoebox carefully concealed behind a heavy patchwork quilt, but I don't investigate the contents yet. Ivy's bedroom is an homage to her obvious love of the softer shades of pink, and it takes my eyes a moment to adjust to the happy rosy glow. Bedrooms are usually where I find the most personal of possessions, secrets kept close to heart and under lock and key, letters and tokens from lost loves, the ones that were never meant to be, but were also never quite forgotten. And Ivy had plenty of space to hide her secrets. There are 2 chests of drawers, a bedside cabinet, and a large built-in wardrobe with 3 sliding doors. I'm just about to see if all of Ivy's clothes are as pink as her pillowcases when I'm interrupted by my phone again. This time it's Loretta calling from the office. She doesn't believe in messaging. Loretta, I say, attempting to slide one of the wardrobe doors open with my free hand. But it's snagged on something inside, and even a good tug won't free it. The boss wants to know if you're coming into the office this week. You've got some paperwork to file. Loretta, queen of her office kingdom, doesn't waste time on small talk. She's a one-woman miracle of efficiency and organisation. If Nigel, the boss, sneezes, then Loretta swoops in with a well-pressed handkerchief to entrap the speeding sputum before it can splatter across her neatly ordered paperwork. Other than the fact that Nigel owns the company and pays our wages, Loretta has very little need for him. She's the main reason I avoid the office whenever possible. I'm coming in for an hour or 2 on Friday, I tell her reluctantly, and I know that before the words have fully reached her ears, she'll have me marked in on her digital calendar. Will you be finished at Starcross Crescent by Monday? She asks. I can almost sense her finger hovering over her keyboard. Tuesday at the earliest, I'm afraid, I say, wondering if I can extend the job at Ivy's until next Wednesday, just to mess with her dates. I'll inform Nigel. and Loretta hangs up. No questions about my health and well-being. No snippets of gossip about my co-workers. If Poppy and Loretta teamed up and took over my job, they'd be finished with a house clearance like Ivy's in under 4 hours, in a hurricane of chucking, dumping and discarding. Sorry, mouth's getting dry. I give up on Ivy's reluctant wardrobe doors and head on to the second bedroom to finish my initial assessment of her flat. From everything I've seen so far, I know it will take a minimum of 3 or 4 days to clear out Ivy's possessions and deal with her furniture, unless the second bedroom contains a lifetime collection of novelty belt buckles or antique pincushions. I inch my way over to the closed curtains to let in some light. This room is more of a study in green with delicate leaf print curtains. The textured carpet comes from roughly the same era as the kitchen cabinets, with worn spots by the sliding wardrobe doors, which are a mirror image of those in Ivy's room. It's not until I turn to face the bed, pushed up against the far wall, that I realise someone's sleeping in it. I manage to stifle 90% of a yelp with my hand, but an odd strangled sound still escapes from between my fingers. I grab a lamp from the bedside table and take several hasty steps backwards. This has never happened before. In nearly 10 years of clearing houses, I've never had to deal with an unexpected living person. The closest I've ever come to it was when a life-size cardboard cutout of a reindeer with a red nose fell out of a cupboard and hit me on the head. The person in the bed has their back turned towards me. A white head of hair pokes out from beneath a duvet, which is pulled so far up I can't see any facial features. But the general size and shape of the human lump looks more masculine than feminine. The covers slide up and down with the man's rhythmic breathing, which suggests he's still asleep. A hearing aid sits on the bedside table, next to a glass of water containing a set of dentures. I lower the lamp a little. This is no housebreaking ne'er-do-well situation. It's more of an old-age pensioner-squatter conundrum. Or did Ivy have a companion? Surely, if that was the case, the Housing Association manager, Mr. Thurston, would have warned me. This kind of house clearance does not happen when there are living occupants, someone to take care of the deceased belongings, deal with affairs, and tie up loose ends. Excuse me, I whisper, not sure how to proceed. Is it rude to wake someone up if they're technically trespassing? There's no sign that the man has heard me, no change in his breathing or stirring of limbs. His clothes have been neatly folded on a chair beside the window, I notice, his shoes tucked under the seat. I'm sorry to disturb you, I say, a little more loudly this time. I'm Juliet from Hobson's House Clearance, Juliet Jones. This is getting me nowhere. Without his hearing aid, the man is oblivious to my presence. But I can't proceed with anything until I understand what's going on. I turn on the lamp that I'm holding and wave it over my head, hoping the flickering of light will register in some part of the man's sleeping brain. Nothing. I approach the bed cautiously, just in case he's faking it, and catch a faint whiff of something medicinal. A pungent herby rub for aching muscles, perhaps. Touching his shoulder seems too personal. I don't even know his name. So I switch the lamp off and turn it around in my hands, gently prodding him in the shoulder region with the wooden base. This time, there's a definite shift in his breathing. "Hello," I say, edging backwards again, so I can make a quick exit if it turns out he's not the Father Christmas type after all. The man turns slowly onto his back and blinks up at the ceiling, scratching something in the buttock region of his body with his right hand. It takes him several seconds to realise he's not alone. He sits up smartly, reaching hastily for his hearing aid first and then his teeth. "Who the bloody hell are you?" he says, before his dentures are properly settled in, and his words come out sounding slurred. His eyes widen as he takes in the lamp that I'm still clutching at shoulder height. I lower it slowly. "I haven't got any money, if that's what you're after. You'd be doing me a favour if you found any." "No, I'm not a burglar," I say, in my most reassuring non-housebreaking voice. "I'm Juliet Jones, from Hobson's House Clearance. I've been sent by Mr. Thurston, the Housing Association manager, to clear out Ivy's stuff." "Oh." The old man deflates and crumples forward slightly. He attempts to clear some kind of blockage in his left ear with his little finger, and then shakes his head like a cocker spaniel trying to dislodge a grass seed. "What's your name again?" "Juliet Jones." "Well, Juliet Jones, I'm Alfie Evans, Ivy's brother." Brother? This puts a whole new slant on the situation. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Evans. I have no idea you were staying with your sister. I never would have let myself into the property if I'd known you were here. Mr. Thurston never mentioned—" "That weasel doesn't know I'm here," he grunts, wiping sleep out of his eyes, "and I'll thank you not to tell him." Mr. Thurston, Adrian, is undeniably a weasel, not generally prone to spontaneous displays of human kindness, compassion, or understanding. I've been dealing with him for years now, and there's something about his smirking demeanour that makes my skin crawl. He also has a way of looking at women that ought to land him on some kind of register. The only reason he doesn't use one of the very cheapest house clearance companies is because he's a distant cousin of Nigel's, and Nigel gives him a generous friends and family discount. If I go straight to Thurston's office, like I probably should do, and tell him about Alfie Evans, he'll have Alfie dressed and marched off the property in under 30 minutes. Maybe all Alfie needs is a little time to gather his things together and organise another place to stay, and then I won't have to alert anyone to his presence. "I can see this isn't a good time," I say, "so I'll call back on Friday morning, and we can have a proper chat about things then, if that's okay with you, Mr. Evans." Sorry for the bump. "I suppose," Alfie says, sounding less than thrilled at the prospect of our reunion. I place the lamp on the bedside table and back out of the room, closing the door quietly behind me. House clearance, never dull. And that is the end of the chapter. And that is all I'm allowed to read you. That opens the door on the many, many, many pages of wonderfulness to come. Is wonderfulness a word? Hey! 223 pages of wonderfulness, to be precise. Highly recommend this book. I love it. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait for more from this author. It's weird reading to camera, I have to say that. Excuse me. So, I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed reading it. Please let me know if you want me to read something else. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you'd like to. I'd be happy to have you. And thank you for joining me. I will sign off for now. Let me find the button. Ciao for now.